New False Count Anywhere show, part of the Earnestly podcast. I'm your host, Ernest EJ Christian, coming to you Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. It is, of course, another week soon before we get to WrestleMania 41. We're at, I believe, 17 days. No, 17 days, I think. WrestleMania 41.
Yeah, there's the second. So, 17 days.
17 days, yeah. And of course, you hear that voice, of course, is the genius himself, Rob the Genius. He's, of course, one third of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, part of the Church Shot Radio Network. You can check it every Saturday on the feed, as well as the host of the now consistent Rob the Genius podcast as well, too. Rob, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
All right, good to be back, man.
We got a lot to talk about today, man. A lot to talk about today. Another adventurous Raw, as we've been saying on the show, that every Raw and SmackDown has been consequential. I mean, we're probably going to be doing 2 of these a week until WrestleMania weekend. I'll tell you that. We'll go over that, of course. Bret Hart, of course, is talking a lot again. He's just did an interview with Ariel Helwani. A lot of quotable stuff that I want to dive into. And then another topic I wanted to get into also. It's kind of an add-on from what we discussed a couple weeks ago, but this time it's about who is more deserving of a Mount Rushmore status, John Cena or Roman Reigns. Did I pick one guy to make the list? We'll talk about that later on the back end of the show. But first, of course, Earnestly Podcast, anywhere part of Earnestly Podcast, you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube at Earnestly Pod. Of course, also follow the TikTok at Earnestly Pod as well too. All right. So Raw was good. Now, story time. And you already know this. I was texting you during the day when Raw came on at 3:00 in the afternoon on Monday. I was actually in Disney World at the time it was happening. But my soon-to-be 12-year-old son actually reminded me, "Oh, Dad, Raw's on. We're actually in Animal Kingdom in line to go on the Everest ride. You know, it was the first time done the ride in 13 years. And so we're watching. You know, I logged in right on time, right when Cena got out there, started talking. And then Cody came out immediately to, Cena didn't even get a word in, and literally, Cody's song dropped, of course, So you hear Kingdom, boom, the whole crowd goes nuts again. Round 3, we discussed on the previous shows that listen, this has got to ratchet up. We got in 2 weeks of Cody and Cena, just talking to talk back and forth, no physicality, nothing of that nature. Well, I mean, finally got some of that. By the way, you mentioned a couple weeks ago on the show that, and I think it kind of happened here in this show, where if Cody ain't not careful, like Cena could bury him, and some things he was saying on back and forth, I think he kind of did that.
Oh, he definitely went for the jugular.
He did.
And the one line that stuck out for me when he said, "I think was I hope billionaires build their empires and." You steal from their children. You steal money from their children.
And the first thing I heard, I thought was Tony Khan.
Yeah, man.
Tony Khan.
Although, I mean, that's not. I mean, some people took that as a shot at Tony, but it's not. It's a shot at. He said you steal from their children, so that's a shot at Cody.
Really? You think so?
Well, I mean, he said you steal.
No, it's a shot at Cody, but it's also a shot at
well, I guess he's calling Tony a
billionaire as Tony Khan. I mean, is what he's saying.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but
it's not your shot.
Well, I think it's primarily a shot at Cody because he said Cody steals money from their children. So,
but
yeah, I think the intention is the intent was to take a shot at Cody. I don't think because Cena has never really been one to take shots at other companies or whatever, right?
No. But to be fair, though, Cena also hasn't had to face any other company, really, because they've been only shown in town pretty much. I mean, yes, he had TNA for a good chunk of his run, but TNA was nowhere on level.
True.
So maybe that's why, I guess. But what do you think? We think about this back and forth. You thought it was productive? Because, look, we said, look, this is cool. I'm cool with the back and forth, but we need more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I think what they did was good, and they got a little physical too. So
yeah, they got physical. Cody gave him a little crossroads action there. Nothing backstage. It just everything's been pretty much been clean so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you okay with them going like blows like this? Like they kind of like not less kayfabe and more kind of truth third wall.
Well, in this case, I mean, I think they hit the right balance here because he said they say I bury people, but I bury mediocrity. I think that's the right amount. I think because I think that's towing the line the right amount.
Right.
Yeah, because he didn't he didn't use too much insider lingo, and like now if he started talking about going into business for myself and and not playing ball or something like that, then then that'd be different. But I think he towed the line just the right amount.
Yeah, he told a line on the right. You told a line on the tattoo thing too, also.
Yeah,
Which supposedly maybe a bit of April Fool's joke, but someone said that Cody took up the tattoo. I doubt the tattoo's gone. Apparently, I don't believe that because it's also I heard that's like I don't think that's true. Number two, it was April Fool's, so I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Well, I didn't look to see.
No, it just popped out of nowhere, but I know it's I try to avoid social media on April 1st because it's easy to get sucked into some of those things.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Yeah, some of them are so dumb though. Some of the jokes are so dumb, that's so obvious.
Yeah,
like for example, there was one thing that said like Eli Manning signs a 1-year contract with the Giants. We're like, come on, dude, stop.
Yeah,
what are we doing? What are we doing? No, but I thought this was good. I thought okay, obviously now we have 2 more weeks, 17 days, two more Mondays to WrestleMania. I think my biggest thing now, I'm where I'm like, okay, we got the back and forth, they got physicality now. That's cool. Where's The Rock now? The Rock is silent, and they mentioned The Rock too, also in the promo.
Yeah, see, that's the missing piece now because we still don't know why he decided to link up with The Rock.
Yeah,
like we get why he turned and why he's acting this way, but why did he align himself with The Rock? We need that needs to be fleshed out. So otherwise, if not, I mean, if they don't flesh that out, then that makes it sound like it really looks like they just kind of slapped the thing together. if they don't do that, so that needs to be, I mean, that needs to be answered. That needs, we need to get something there.
Do you think we'll get The Rock these next 2 weeks? That's the point.
Well, Cena's not going to. I mean, if Cena's not going to be there, then he should be. I mean, because
what's left now? We have physicality, right? We have the 3 back and forth now. What's left to do with 2 Mondays ago? I think that's the thing also too. They emptied the gun already now on that end. The Rock is the last piece right at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you bring any other outside forces in this situation? I don't know.
At this late point, I don't. I don't see how that would help at this point. I think because the issue is between Cody and Cena and The Rock, and adding somebody else. Yeah, I don't think not with 2 weeks. I mean,
no.
Because then you're kind of muddying the waters, and then you have to explain why that person is there.
Well, we shall see. Like I think at this point, we got we wanted. We got the back and forth. By the way, I'm watching the promo. I'm thinking like, we discussed a couple weeks ago how we want to see Cena with a new outfit, new music, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching him like, yes, we call it a heel turn, but a part of me feels like this is not really. Are we sure he's a heel? Like, yes, he's a heel, but he's being true to who he is. He never changed really. I mean, so far. I mean, the only heel thing he did recently was like, I guess right now what he did with the trying to sneak behind Cody to hit him after before he got Crossroads. But other than that, I mean, are you sure that he's the heel here? Maybe we're not the heels as fans.
I think. Oh no, I think he is. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the heel because he's crapping on the fans, and attacked Cody and all of that. So he's definitely the heel. I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's no. Yeah, I mean, he is. This isn't. This isn't some shades of Grey kind of thing. He's definitely the heel.
No, yeah, and I obviously like how the fans react determines that really, but at the same time, I'm looking at myself like, obviously the smirk on his face, which by the way, I don't know. Some people say it's overacting. I don't know what you want him to do. I mean, him coming out to John Cena sucks, and he's holding up the handkerchief and is like smirking, and walks to the ring with the thing behind his back. I mean, what we want him to do, man? He's playing the role.
It's pro wrestling. Everybody overacts.
Exactly.
I mean, who doesn't over? I mean, come on.
Yeah, if you don't believe us, read the IWC every single fucking day, man. They react to everything.
I mean, these people are not, master thespians here.
Right.
I mean, you get it. The way they get across is they, the way they get things across is by overacting, because that's kind of really the only thing, as far as emoting, that's kind of what they're good at. Is because they're pro wrestlers, they're not actors.
Well, I gotta say, and for someone who did not live through the Cena era, because I say lived, I didn't watch in real time at the time, when he during his ascent, and certainly at his peak, and I know I mentioned this a couple weeks on the podcast, but it stands repeating here. This dude is fantastic on the mic. I mean, we're talking about, again, if we do like a top 5 list, top 10 list all time of greatest people on the stick, John Cena's in there somewhere, and he might be very higher than you realize.
And then he talks at length.
Yes.
So, and that's the difference between between him in particular. Like, he talks at length and he ad libs. And so when you combine all of that, I mean, there's only, I think there's only maybe one or two other people really, because like we talked about this before. Even the greatest promo people of all time, they all had kind of a rap that they stuck to, or they hit the catchphrases, or they, and they didn't really talk that long. So he talked at length.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, he does that, Roman does that, Punk does that, where they can just, go on and on and on. Cody does it too, right? But I think the difference, like him, he and Roman both, they ad lib stuff, more, I think, more than anybody else. I think, and Punk sometimes too. I mean, Cody talks long, but I think Cody, basically he talks, he can go long, but I think he mainly sticks to what's in the script. Whereas, like Cena will ad lib. He'll throw something in there that, that he just thought of while he was out there. Like I said, Roman does that too. So yeah, it's just, I mean, he's doing a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's almost kind of like Steph Curry. Like, like there have been great 3-point shooters, but like Steph Curry, he hits a high percentage and he hits volume.
Yeah.
And so like what he's doing, so look, I mean, I don't know like all time, 3-point percentages, but so like, I mean, somebody like Steve Kerr might have a higher 3-point percentage for their career, but Steph does volume also. And so
you're not gonna look at the difference between that Steve Kerr better shooter and then Steph Curry, even though his better percentage, the volume. Yeah,
I mean, right. It's just, but it's the difference between. I mean, yeah, it's the difference being volume. Like, it's like one, like I said, Steve Kerr might have a higher percentage. I don't know. I'm kind of typing in my computer here. I do this, everybody. I do this sometimes when I'm.
Well, you're numbers guy, dude. That's why you call Robert Jeans for a reason.
Yeah, so I occasionally on my own show, I occasionally say, I got to go to the research department here. So I'm doing that.
Is there actually a research department at Robert Genius Inc.?
So I'm looking for, where are you? 3 leaders. Okay, so let's look for 3-point. And my apologies, everybody. All right.
It's okay. Live stream.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying is that Cena talks at length and he ad libs, and there aren't like that's a really unprecedented thing. So for him, yeah, it wouldn't be crazy to say he's the best promo guy ever because he does both, and there aren't. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who did both like that, who talked at length and ad libbed, and
yeah. But no, I'm with you. Maybe down the road you do like a top 10 whatever promo guys of all time. That's a segment in itself. You know what I'm saying? It was a good Raw though. Last European show, I think were they in London again or no?
I forget what city it was.
I don't remember where they were on Monday, but great crowd as always. I've been saying, we do have another championship match going on that weekend, WrestleMania weekend, between Gunther and Jey Uso, and the bill has been mid at best. I'll tell you what, after this Monday, I got to take that back because they came firing this week. The match, of course, Jimmy Uso against Gunther, and then did the match even go off? It did go off, right?
Yeah, it didn't go long. Like they
I watched the highlights of the show. I watched the highlights of the show.
Yeah, like
the
match happened and just it wasn't long.
Right, and of course, Jay is tied up in the what is it, the zip tie?
Yeah.
Gunther, we all know Gunther's a heel, but this is the first time where he really was a dastardly heel, like really, like the Gunther heel we've seen for the last, on the main roster since 2021, 2022, whatever it may be. He's been like, I guess no one likes me because I'm this guy, I'm this ring general, and I'm all business and all that. And we all appreciate that. But this, what he did here, was really the first time I really said, oh my God, Gunther's a real heel. And like a real heel. Like, back to an old school, like, coming with Earthquake, trying to throw Hulkamania kind of thing, you know what I mean? And, having Jimmy Uso bloodied up and stuff. That segment on Monday, I thought was brilliant. Because again, the build has been very mid. So they really got me a little bit more fired up about this match now. Because to be honest with you, I started to not care about this match because everything else around it.
Yeah, and that's understandable. Oh, I have an answer here. Okay, so
the answer. Okay, go ahead.
Because Steph Curry is 62nd all time in 3-point percentage, with 39.6%. Okay.
Who's one?
Oh, now, but I don't know who this guy is, but here's something for you. So Steph Curry is number 62 all time for career. Number 5 is Seth Curry, his brother. so Seth Curry is number 5 career all time. Okay. And so now
his brother can say, I got something on you, bro.
So that's kind of to my point with the promos is that like the other guys that we consider great promos, they didn't do everything that Cena does. They don't talk at length and ad lib and hit the catchphrases and all of that. I mean, most of them just did a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So he does all of it, right? And so, I mean, yeah, you could make an argument that he's the best promo guy ever because from doing all of those things.
Yeah. Checks all the boxes.
Yeah. Now, I mean, of course, now there are guys whose catchphrases are going to, stick out more. So I guess if there's a knock on him, maybe it's that. But I mean,
but he has the "you can't see me" thing also too. I mean,
yeah,
you can't see me and all that stuff he does.
I mean, yeah, not that he doesn't have any, but I mean, more people, I think, over time, more people are going to remember. I think more people are going to be saying "acknowledge me," or more people are going to be saying, more people say "what you going to do," and more people say "that's the bottom line," or "woo," I think those, or "you smell what the rock is," I think
that may this actually topic may limp into our like back end of the show. We talk about Roman and Cena for Mount Rushmore, who's more deserving. Because I tell you what, because that plays a part into like, a Mount Rushmore conversation about who's deserving and what's more marketable and what people know you for. But back to Jey Uso and Gunther though. Yeah, I thought after this build of money, I was like, okay, now I'm fired up for this thing. Now I guess they waited a little while to go guns blazing on this Raw because it's been really mid for the last couple weeks.
Well, this is a unique year because this is the longest time. This is the longest time they've had between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
This is 7 weeks. Normally it's like 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, and every week counts.
Yeah, and then yeah. So this is 7 weeks, almost 2 months between the Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. So it's almost you are not going to maintain. You're not going to build and maintain momentum for everything for 7 weeks. And remember, and Jey and Gunther is longer because they decided Jey won the Rumble, so
yeah,
that's a whole nother 3 or 4 weeks for this.
Yeah.
So you can't. I mean, and we're talking like 10, 11 weeks for this. So you can't. I mean, they had to wait to do something really big.
Yeah, in hindsight, I agree, and I guess at this point, what's there? I guess to the point, like even though I may not like the fact that there's nothing going on there. What stories are to tell really between the two? I mean, these guys have met multiple times in the last year alone. You know what I mean? So what's there to tell now?
Yeah, and it's just I guess the tricky part to all this was just that I mean, in hindsight, it's understandable why they waited to escalate and all that. Yeah, I guess it's just that we watch this stuff every week, so
yeah,
so for people who don't watch every week, if they came in this week and they saw this, then great. But for but for those of us who do podcasts and everything, we sat through 7 or 8 weeks of mid, to get to this. So while we're sitting through it, it's kind of like, okay, And that's just, but look, that's our fault. That's our dumb fault for watching every week all year round and talking about it. That's our dumb fault, right?
Yeah. So where would you put this match right now? Like on the card of obviously they haven't announced any like what's night 1, what's night 2.
Yeah.
This is obviously not a main event match, but I was thinking that this match could probably lead off the entire Mania night one, to lead off the entire thing. Because if Jey's gonna win the title, don't you want that moment the vibe of him winning the title and the yeets and all that stuff to launch off the entire weekend?
I think okay, so you either put it because all right, I mean, I'd probably put it like in the middle, of night 1, or because the problem is if you open with it, then that kind of kills the crowd for everything, or at least for the next 2 or 3 matches that come after.
What is that? Is that assuming that Jey Uso wins, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he wins. I mean, I think you don't do all this for him to lose.
Right.
I mean, put it out. Yeah, he's somebody you build, and he gets the big moment, and he maybe keeps the belt for a couple of months, and then he'll drop it to somebody. But yeah, I mean, and particularly since we're not, if night 2 is going to end with heel John Cena and The Rock standing victorious over Cody, then you got to do something. You got to have one of the good guys win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see a point. My original thought was actually the middle too, also, but I know I'm not opposed to launch making this be the first match the entire weekend, honestly. But then again, because again, it's about creating moments. I think Jey Uso. Look, I still think Jey wins the title. But I don't think he'll be a long-term champion. I think they want to create the moment.
Yeah.
And Gunther gets it back in the next couple months.
Yeah, or either or somebody else wins it from him or something.
Because this thing feels like Kofi Mania all over again.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities, and and I think the difference is that this has been building for Jey since 2020.
Yeah, and again, not to say he doesn't deserve it. He does deserve it, but it's just it's a lot of similarities.
I mean, deserve is kind of I kind of get irritated when people say that because these are like because again these are TV characters, right? I mean,
true, yeah.
And so because what happens is people end up saying that about like somebody who's playing a heel, and it's like, no, the heel doesn't deserve to win.
Right.
You know, they don't deserve the heel. Never deserves to
That's
win.
true. It's a good point. It's a
I
good
mean,
point.
like, yeah, okay. I mean, you're happy for the person who plays the character, but I mean, we're supposed to be rooting for or against the characters, not the people.
Well, that's the complicated thing of being a wrestling fan in general is that we forget this is scripted. We also forget it's a TV show too. Also, like they're writing TV week to week.
Well, it's complicated for us, for us people who are obsessed with this stuff and watch it every week and read 50 websites and listen to 50 podcasts.
And then pay $12.99 to freaking Meltzer when
Like,
you paying $12 to add to Rob's comic book.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It's hard for us, right? But like the people who come to house shows, like the kids and their parents, it's not hard for them. They like going to a house show is an entirely different experience because most of the people in the building, they cheer for the good guys and they boo the bad guys, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and which is why, when I've gotten these debates about Roman Reigns, back when, you know, again, and him and Cena both, I've gone to house shows, both of them are on, and there was no conflict in the fans there. It was all cheering.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and because the type of people who come to house shows are not the people who obsess over this stuff 24/7, and they're not into all the minutia, and they're not, obsessed with like the people who play the characters, and and they're rooting for this guy because he worked on the indies for 12 years and living out of his car, and because of that he deserves to be the world champion,
Yeah.
even though he's playing a heel on TV or something. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get that's one of my things that I just go crazy about. So
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But I'll tell you one thing's going to make me go crazy right now is this whole Bianca Iyo Rhea story. To me, it did nothing. The match between Rhea and Iyo, with Bianca's referee, special referee, did nothing to clear up with the direction of this whole thing, and it's even more convoluted than I thought it was before the match. And now what's it going? So now double DQ, right? Double DQ.
yeah.
So Rhea loses the opportunity for the title shot, or maybe she doesn't. Look, I love all three women here. I don't want to not root for anybody else in this match, but let's be real here. If all things equal, the heel is Rhea in this saga.
Yeah, and it is, yes, in this situation, absolutely. And look, it's going to, yes, we know they're going to find their way to making a triple threat. I mean, because otherwise, if not, I mean, then they wouldn't be doing all this if they weren't going to end up there. So, but again, we're talking about the characters here. She doesn't deserve it.
Storyline wise, yeah, she said no.
I
She
mean,
lost the match fair and square, and that's it.
The character, yeah, she lost the heel fair and square. It was her fault because she took her eye off the ball. And now, and then here, she got double DQ'd, and part of that was her own fault also because, she couldn't keep herself under control.
Yeah.
And Bianca won the Elimination Chamber. She won the title shot. She won her own title shot fair and square. And there is no reason to put, like, in story, there's no reason to give Rhea what she wants. Like, she should not get what she wants. I mean, and, they should, Adam Pearce should tell her that if she wants to see the match, she needs to buy a ticket and sit in the stands.
For lack of a better word, Adam Pearce is a bitch in this whole feud.
That, and then, so, I mean, and what's probably going to, and so now the only way to make it a triple threat is, basically, so either Adam Pearce has to punk out and just put her in there because he's tired of her, or Iyo and Bianca have to be stupid and say, well, yeah, put her in the match so we can beat her up. Which is dumb.
Right.
That is dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, cause there's no way you would want to put her in if you and there's no way if you're Iyo or Bianca, there's no way you would want to have Rhea Ripley put into your match to make things, because that just makes it more difficult for either one of you to win.
Having said all that, though, I think the more I look at this feud and then post match here on Raw, I do think I'm convinced more Io's going to win this match coming out of WrestleMania.
Well, because again, if we're talking about storyline,
Yeah.
story wise, that makes the most sense because this thing that they're doing with Rhea is, it's all about her impulsiveness and costing her things and all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're doing that just for her to win the belt back a month later, I mean, really? I mean, and I don't think Bianca's here is basically a red herring.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's funny because I mean, basically, um, Bianca and Charlotte almost have the same career, basically, and that they both get put in things as a red herring. They get put in triple threat matches or whatever, and they get put in there basically as a red herring. Because
I just think that match is so lazy, so freaking lazy.
Well, it's funny because now the other one with Roman, Seth, and Punk. I mean, that's a rare case where all three guys do have beef with each other, and
there's a real story there.
Right. This is because that's the thing with those. So either when it's done right, everybody in the match, whether it's triple threat or fatal four way or whatever, when it's done right, everybody in the match has an issue with each other.
Yeah.
Right. And then it makes sense. But when it's done lazily or whatever, what happens then is you get, two people have a real issue with each other, and the third person gets thrown in, or three people have issues with each other, and the fourth person gets thrown in. And this is just kind of like, it feels to me like basically, Hunter wanted to get all three of them on the show.
Yeah, this shoehorn in.
Which makes sense. I mean, they're all great. Of course, you want to get them all on the show. But, that's all, to me, that just seems like all this is. Well, he wants to get all three of them on the show.
Yeah.
And so we got, this kind of convoluted thing. And look, once they get to the match and the bell rings, everything will be fine. But none of this makes sense. Okay. None of this makes sense at all, really.
Not at all. Not at all. Question for you here, Rob.
Yep.
Are you feeling the New Day is heel thing going? About 2 months into this thing.
Okay.
It's weird. It's weird.
I mean, when they turned on E, that was excellent. That was A+ stuff. But since then, I mean, they've been feuding with, the LWO and
now Viking Raiders now, potentially now.
Yeah, it's been like what 4 months now, and this is it.
I think January it turned, or is it January it turned?
It was last year. It wasn't
late last year, right?
Yeah, it was like November or December last year.
But damn, that already, damn.
So we're 4 months, and in 4 months they haven't done anything of any consequence. They've just, they've been basically feuding with, again, the LW like low level people. Well, not Ray. Well, Ray's not a low level person, but I mean, they haven't done anything of any consequence. They haven't won anything of any consequence. They even lost a couple of times. So this is just, it's like what are we doing? Because the turning is supposed to, they're supposed to have some ill-gotten gains, at some point, right? You would have thought that they would have won the tag team titles by now, and or something, right? But
and maybe they will at WrestleMania if this match gets signed.
Yeah, and so but I guess, like I said again, for those of us who watch every week, it just felt like a big waste of time because we're watching this every week, so every week it's like, oh, they're doing this again, and
Some it feels like too also wait for E to get cleared. I mean, if he does get cleared, I think once he gets cleared, I think it'll escalate the storyline because this only makes sense because of the E angle of it all.
Well, that's the other part of it. If it's not happening, if he's just not coming back, then I can see them wanting to turn because they weren't doing anything. They were.
That's true. Yeah, no, right. I don't hate it, but I don't love it yet. Like it feels like a try hard situation. Like you see like Xavier Woods doing the whole nose thing, the nose thing, and then Kofi's all facial, the beard is like, oh no mustache, just a beard now, looking all evil. Like I love the theme music. My 12-year-old was saying like the theme music is dope, but it's kind of weird seeing this group that was like all about pancakes and colorful schemes and all this stuff and positivity now, and now they're like the complete opposite. But it does. I'm not gonna lie, it does feel a little forced. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, because I think it's taking too long. Like they
Yeah,
had real heat when they turned on heat. They had real heat there, and they needed, but then they kind of spun their wheels for 3 months. So, and I mean, yeah, it's just they should have done more with that. Yeah, I mean, it should have progressed further
yeah.
by now because they've just been kind of spinning their wheels, and so they're okay. So yes, they're going to get the title match against the War Raiders.
By the way, are they even over the War Raiders? I mean,
Um,
they came out on and granted, Europe is a little different because Europe is a different crowd. I know boom Bianca there. I mean, she's not gonna get booed in America, but Raiders got really no reaction when they came out and
well,
approached New Day.
they don't get. I mean, they don't get much of one usually. I mean, I don't know. I
They,
mean, they were big in Japan. They were big in Ring of Honor. I don't know.
I mean, I like them.
Yeah, I mean,
They're old school type of 80s flavored group. A little more
yeah. I mean, I think,
athletic than that, but
but I just think it just hasn't caught on here. Now,
no,
some of it is because they've been injured a lot.
that
So
too. Stop and go. Yeah, I can
yeah,
see
so
that.
they've been gone for long stretches at a time, and it's just
Yeah,
but also then the way the tag team division's been booked for the past couple of years, it just hasn't been booked in a way that generate any real excitement.
right. Looks like we're about to get the AJ Styles and Logan Paul at WrestleMania as well.
Oh yeah, that looks like that's a done deal. I think.
That should be a banger.
Oh yeah, it should be. I mean, they're gonna have a good time with that, and
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That should be a great match. I mean, maybe that should be lead off of WrestleMania weekend.
I can see. Yeah, that's if you want to open with something
Yeah,
I think that would actually be a good match to open with.
yeah. One last thing here on Raw recap. Where the heck is Judgment Day going? Like, it feels the whole Judgment thing feels like it's lost in the weeds. Like, I'm not against this for the record. There's been a lot more of a priority on Finn Balor lately. And you see Dominic more in the background and whatnot.
I think they're kind of like it's just time filler. I think really I think it feels like they're just time filler.
But
Because
is
yeah,
there still space for this group to exist? Because I mean, like, I feel like once the whole thing with peaked up with Rhea and Damian getting knocked out last year, it's like, okay, cool. And now what? Like, Dominic's still hot, but Dominic's at the point now he doesn't even need them anymore.
well, because I think they're kind of the perpetual opponents, right? Basically,
Mhm.
like because basically, like Liv and Raquel are they're kind of just the plug and play heel opponents for whoever like for pretty much any baby face on the roster. And look, and that's a good spot for them to have found that.
Right.
But that's kind of what they are, and Dominic is kind of just a plug and play heel to go out. I mean, and he still gets heat, but he's basically he's a plug and play heel that you can send out there every week. He can get beat every week, and it doesn't matter because he gets heat, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what he is. And then and same thing with Carlito. Basically, same thing. He's a plug in heel to go out there and get beat, basically. They're yeah. I mean, they're time fillers. They're time and space fillers, and like they've all like they won just enough stuff that that they're still relevant people, but they're basically they're time fillers now. And but I also feel like it's going on so long that if they're going to do a breakup angle or something, I think the steam has already been taken out of that.
Oh yeah. Like the one way to save this thing, honestly, is that maybe. Well, first off, I don't know if you noticed the angles they've used with this group so far. That any person that's become the leader of this group has gotten kicked out. It was Edge early on in something. Then it was Rhea and Damian Priest. You know,
Yeah.
Now Finn Balor. I think the only way you can save this faction now is this is where Aleister Black debuts.
Yeah. I can see that. And also I think, well, I guess because if they just split, I mean, Finn will be fine. He'll be fine, especially when JD comes back, because they can just do the tag team thing again. And then, I can see like not Rhea, but Liv and Raquel going off with Dominic.
Right.
Um,
Dominic is spread so hot now. He doesn't need the group anymore. Doesn't need it.
I think the thing is though, but the dynamic, like the whole thing with him and Liv, it kind of adds up. The sum is kind of greater than the parts.
Right. True.
Because I think the thing with Liv has always been like, if it ever just comes down to just her wrestling and not like doing all the kind of other stuff she does as a character, it just kind of doesn't go very far. So, I think it's better for everyone. I think it's better for them. Well, it's better for Dominic to be with a woman, because that's what part of it really gets him heat, and I think it's better for Liv to be with him than just be by herself, or just her and Raquel by themselves. So, I think I could see them just kind of going off as a trio. But honestly, yeah, I mean they're space they're time and space fillers basically.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, like I said, I think the only way you save that thing is you bring a new fresh face. I think Aleister Black is the quintessential leader, best person based on his whole character that can save that group to make it more relevant again. Otherwise, just break the damn thing up, man. Honestly, if you're not gonna do anything with it. All right, so that's some of the comments, some of the things from Raw that stuff for me this past Monday. All right, so our guy Bret Hart was actually on the Ariel Helwani podcast this week. I mean, Bret Hart historically always has something to say. One thing, look, love or hate Bret Hart, man. I'll tell you what, dude is always transparent and brutally honest, whether you like him or not. He had a lot of things to say, especially on Hulk Hogan, for example. Here's a quote about on Hogan he had on the show. He goes, "Quote: I think when you watch a lot of the wrestlers today, you don't see anybody imitating Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior. You see a lot of wrestlers today really trying their best to capture my style or some of the guys that I work with, like Dynamite Kid or Kurt Hennig, my brother Owen Hart, and stuff like them. Yeah, they're wrestling my style, and that's the biggest compliment I can get from today's generation is that he's not lying about that, to be honest with you.
Because around like the 2000s, people like Hogan were in his style, like the work rate nerds kind of once they took over the conversation about everything, guys like him were just dumped on and said that they were no good and all that type of stuff. And so guys like him and Warrior and Goldberg, when the work rate nerds took over the conversation about
you mean Bill Goldberg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
when work rate nerds took over, the discourse about what is and isn't good wrestling, guys like Hogan and Warrior and Bill Goldberg just were basically trash. And basically, that they weren't any good. And then guys like Lex Luger were victimized by that also. And so, I mean, you don't have guys imitating them, really, not that many. Every now and then you have somebody like, that you'll have somebody like, but not that many. And
who do you think we wrestle today that you would say mimics Bret Hart's style of wrestling in ring?
Man, that's
tough, actually, because Bret Hart is literally the technical.
Yeah, I mean, and then technical, and then like selling damage, and I mean, he could throw. I mean, he could throw good punches with as anybody. Yeah, I'd say Roman. When Roman went back when Roman works as a babyface, he does a lot of the same stuff, kind of stuff that Bret does.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Roman's a nice tweener between like that Bret Hart type, but he also has a little bit of the Hogan thing too, also where he knows how to tell a story in the ring. You know, he's
yeah.
not like the most like athletic guy in the same way. Well, he's athletic, but not like the same way Hogan. You know, like the other guys you consider athletic. Like Roman's a big guy who
Well, yeah.
can
So, I
do
mean,
certain moves. You know,
yeah. I mean, Roman's not doing springboard 450s. No, he can't.
right? Of course. So no, I think Roman's a good one. Speaking of Roman, though, he had a comment about Roman too. Also, here's his quote here. I think that's why I still think the '90s were the best era of wrestling. When I watch old '90s wrestling, it was really good stuff. I find that today's wrestling, it's a little bit more about promos and a character on TV, and not so much your work rate. I like guys that throw back a little bit more to the work rate. Roman Reigns is the guy, for example, that I think tries really hard to earn respect of my generation and be more realistic and just more credible, more believable, not so much of an actor. I find that, especially AEW, I find that they're mostly actors trying to pretend to be wrestlers. He concluded. Get on with the real wrestling and just quit acting so much. Well, the thing, the AEW portion here too also is, um, you know, that's a WWE issue. Like AEW is literally like when you talk about sports entertainment, like AEW is very little sports entertainment in comparison to WWE. Like WWE is sports entertainment. Like the acting is just as important as the drink stuff. So I think there's something when he says there. I see what he's saying, but it doesn't make it bad either.
Well, no, and I think he's referring to like. Well, I think he's talking about the ring work though, and
Right.
that well, like with AEW, a lot of the stuff it's guys doing spots,
Right.
and it's guys who learn how to do certain things athletically. And he said they're trying to act like wrestlers, um, and I think so. Yeah, Roman is. I mean, his style is more realistic. Like I think that's what he means by that, and because some people work matches like that. You know, some people go in the ring and do spots,
Mm-hmm.
and some people work the match like it's a real fight. And I think I think that's what he's talking about.
Right. I think my problem with what you said there about the promos and character on TV is that the promos character on TV actually is what draws interest to your work in the first place. Like, and in today's era, I don't think it's enough to disagree great in the ring. You got a guy like Ricochet, for example, who's actually very excited in the ring, but cannot do promos or shit, and as a result, is not getting the same attention he did in WWE. You know, Vince wanted nothing to do with him because he couldn't talk on a mic, and then there's no amount of air flying in the air you can do that's going to change Vince's mind. Now, obviously, Vince is a little bit of a weird situation because Vince is very picky in the way he operates and that kind of thing. But I think promos and characters should matter because again, WWE and how they view what's considered great, a great wrestler is not just in ring work, but also what can you do to garner attention and make you feel something.
Well,
And I think both matters.
now to Ricochet's credit, he actually has been doing character work in AEW,
Right,
and
which is so fascinating too. Also, to hear that he's doing that.
well, because I think probably the main reason he left was because wouldn't they had him in a certain lane in WWE, right?
Right.
And he very it's obvious now he wanted to do some type of character work, and that they didn't have that. That's not what they had for him to do, and so I think that's a big reason why he left. Um, well, I think because it's funny because when he left, a lot of us thought that he wanted to go just do the spot monkey stuff more,
Yeah.
like he used to, like he'd been before he came there. But it turns out he wanted to do character work, and they weren't coming up. I don't know if they just felt good about what they had him doing and just didn't want to do it or what. But he is doing character work now. But I mean, now I think um, but I think like on Raw in particular, um, it's gotten like it seemed like to me a little too promo heavy. Like
Yeah.
like we don't like like we don't need 15-minute monologues every week.
Yeah.
And then and then now like on Raw that they have fewer matches on Raw than than they've ever had now. It's and I mean I think there's a balance, right? I think because I think you got to have. I mean, ultimately, you go to a wrestling show to see wrestling matches, right?
Right.
I mean, yes, the promo stuff matters and it adds to it and it helps sell the story and all of that. But you do go to see matches, okay?
This is true. This is true.
And I think sometimes when we talk about this stuff, I think we've kind of swung a little too far in the other direction, because Jack does it like what goes on the ring doesn't matter at all, or if it is, or if it's secondary. I think they're equal. Now you got to be able to do the other stuff. Like if you want to be at the top of the card or be a regular featured person on TV or whatever, you got to be able to do the other stuff. Like you can't just be a wrestler, right? But I think the idea that stuff doesn't matter, I think I think that's what kind of where Brett is going. I think it sounds to me like he thinks it's maybe gone a little too heavy away from the ring action. Or I guess what he considers to be good now, because he's not a fan of the AEW type of ring action, obviously. So
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like he thinks they've gone a little too far in the other direction, away from emphasizing the ring action.
Right. By the way, we mentioned Ricochet earlier. He's got married to Samantha.
Yeah,
This weekend. So, God bless you, brother. You're blessed.
Yes.
I love that girl. One more thing he touched on also is he was talking about different eras. He says, I watch certain guys. I try to watch reviews. I find in a lot of wrestlers, I won't necessarily name anybody, but I find that the wrestlers are more actors pretending to be wrestlers today than actual wrestlers. I miss the ruggedness of the characters. Guys like Kurt Hennig and myself or Dynamite Kid, or that whole era of wrestlers that broke into the business in the 70s or late 70s and early 80s. We were still from the Harley Race, Terry Funk kind of generation, trying to be them or mimic them, top them.
I think, yeah, because I think, look, sometimes they can be a little bit too pristine now, and can be a little too choreographed now. A lot of things can just be set up a little too perfectly now. And which I think, like with me, like when it comes to like triple threat matches and whatnot, like there was a time, like when they first started doing triple threat matches, they were a little more clumsy and a little more kind of raggedy and uncoordinated. And now, like so many things now are just like perfectly choreographed. And when two people are going to do a double team spot, and then somebody gets knocked out of the ring and they lay there for 5 minutes while so that the other two people can do their stuff. A lot of things now, it's just it's too clean, or it's too well rehearsed, or too choreographed, and it's not. You lose some realism there, because it looks like they're doing a dance routine or something out of the Matrix or something. And having like a little kind of raggediness to it makes it more real, because again, they're supposed to be fighting.
Yeah.
And so you should have to roll around a little bit and slide around a little bit to get a headlock on somebody. It shouldn't just be clean. And look, a lot of different moves. They shouldn't be, because again, you're supposed to be struggling and against each other and moving around and whatnot. And so it's just like some stuff now. It is too clean, and I think that does take some of the realism away from it. Like if you watch a boxing match, they're not like perfectly trading punches.
Right.
They're throwing punches, and they're grabbing each other and holding each other, and punches don't land perfectly. They and all of that. And that's what a real fight is like, or a real wrestling match is like. And so I think when he says people are acting like wrestling, I do think that some of it is, like, it's a little too clean, a little too slick, a little too well choreographed.
Yeah.
A little too coordinated.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I can see what he's saying there, and
Right.
it's just kind of some of the comes to raggediness.
Yeah, of course.
And it makes it more like a real fight.
One thing about Bret, man, he's transparent, he's honest, has no problem saying things. People don't like that. I don't know why. I appreciate that. Hogan, he didn't lie like Hogan.
Yeah, and it's just that, because he he pops a lot of people's bubbles, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and that's and then, but I think in this case, I see exactly what he means by that, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. With you. All right. This is kind of I guess piggyback on something we discussed a couple weeks ago, but I saw this topic also on recently. I wanted to get your opinion on this. If you have only given one choice, one person to go on the WWE Mount Rushmore, and the one spot left is between John Cena and Roman Reigns. Who is more deserving of that status?
whew. Okay.
I think I know your answer, but maybe not based on our
Well,
conversation a week
here's
ago.
the thing. Okay, so Cena had a longer run as the top guy in the company.
Mhm.
He went from basically from 2005 to like 2015.
16, 17,
Yeah,
16, yeah.
yeah. So 10 to 12 years, depending on how you want to count it. Um, Now Roman was booked as the top guy for you know has been booked in that around or presented that way as kind of almost the same amount of time, but like he was actually like he was the unquestioned focal point of the company for about 4 years. From 2020 to 2024, and depending, and of course, I mean, however much longer he wants to keep doing this, and at some point he might be that again for another year or two, down the road.
Right.
So if we're going longevity, then yeah, Cena wins on longevity. Um, but if we're looking at Mount Rushmore as kind of a foundational kind of thing, then Roman turned the company around. Okay.
During COVID?
Yeah, I mean he turned the company around. Um, period. Right. This whole run that they've been on was built off of what the bloodline did.
Mhm.
And I mean Cody came along later and then added to it and all that. But like but it's built on Roman and the bloodline. This run that the company has been on. Whereas I mean Cena kind of he got handed the torch after during the ruthless aggression era, and I'd say he kept the train going. You know, but this run that they've on has been built on Roman, and
Yeah.
so it depends on depends on what you value more. You value somebody, you value longevity more, or do you value you know
I mean, longevity shouldn't matter though. If
oh,
longevity matters, if you are still the guy or relatively the guy for a long period of time, the reason why Hogan gets that is because Hogan's longevity is the reason why he's on there. 9 years a lot, especially in that era. Being the top guy.
yeah, but I think also, I mean, Hogan, like the whole national expansion of the company and that whole era was built on Hogan. Like
Yep.
it wasn't
Correct.
that he was in that spot for 8 years.
Right.
Um, and I mean, the whole weight on the company, and the whole weight of the company was on him. During and honestly, you could the weight of the business was on him because I mean, it's a longer conversation, but just
Yeah.
TV was changing during the 80s, the way things were being broadcast on TV, and wrestling wouldn't have survived if you didn't have some type of nationally syndicated show, because that's where TV was going during the 80s.
Yeah.
So, and Hogan was you know the centerpiece of that. And so
Absolutely.
if what they were doing with him had failed, if he had failed, then the WWF obviously would have gone under.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, the business would be in a different place. I mean, who knows? Because unless the NWA under Crockett had, if they had stepped in and you know succeeded nationally, then okay, fine. But like somebody had to do it for the wrestling business to survive.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was built on Hulk Hogan. I mean, I know, like, but people want to do the revisionist history now because all the bad stuff we found out about him. But O.J. Simpson was still a Hall of Fame running back. Okay. Okay. And at one time, he was the best running back in the National Football League at one time. Okay. And he killed two people. All right.
Sure did.
That doesn't, because he killed two people, that doesn't mean that he was a mid running back. Okay. It doesn't. Okay. Although Hogan didn't kill anybody, but like all the stuff we've learned about him doesn't, I'm sorry, it's not just not honest, not intellectually honest to talk as if he was, not good. And I've seen people say, well, they could have just plugged anybody in there. No, they couldn't have.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just it is what. Okay, but nobody's forcing. You don't have to watch any Hulk Hogan matches.
And you only make that statement because you don't like the guy. And if you can't differentiate the two, then you should be having this conversation. This conversation. Period.
And look, you don't. Nobody's making you watch. If you don't want to watch anything he did, you don't have to.
You have choices, dude.
But if you're going to have an honest conversation about his career and what it meant and how good he was a performer,
yeah, for real,
then you have to. If we're going to if you have an honest conversation, then you got to be honest about it. And look, Ian Andre drew 93,000 people. Okay, that doesn't happen if that doesn't happen if you're just some guy they plugged in.
Right. Exactly. Totally agree with you.
It doesn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Totally with you. All right. I want to play a video I saw on the internet yesterday. The wrestling internet's so fun when it can be. I'm trying to figure out this guy's name, his actual TikTok name, because I want to give him some credit for this. OVW Dropout. So he has a list. This is a 2-part thing he's done so far. We'll play part 2 next week on the show. Basically, he has a list of what he believes are undeserving Hall of Famers, WWE Hall of Famers. I'll play a video. It's about a minute long. We'll play a video and we'll react to it in a second. All right? Here we go.
Name in 60 seconds or less. And of course, if you don't like it, then I just don't give a. All right, let's go with number 1. It's the most recent inductee, and that is Michelle McCool. Before y'all come for me in the comments, I understand she's a former women's champion. I get all that, but I know how nepotism works. She is The Undertaker's wife. However, can we honestly say Michelle McCool is top 5 all time? Top 10? 15? 20? No? Okay, I made my point. Next. 2 is Drew Carey. What has Drew Carey ever done to deserve to be in a wrestling Hall of Fame? People may say, oh, well, he competed in the Royal Rumble in 2001. So you have a ton of guys that have competed in the Royal Rumble over the years and they're not in the Hall of Fame. So what is your argument? You don't have one? Okay, bet. Last but certainly not least is y'all's president, Donald Trump. I'm not making this post political because I don't want the MAGAs to come for me. I know a lot of MAGA fans are also wrestling fans, but I just want to let y'all know I don't fuck with him personally, professionally, or politically. But again, why is he in the Hall of Fame? Why? Because they had a battle of the billionaires at WrestleMania and he shaved Vince McMahon's hair? Like we knew Donald Trump was going to win that match because he doesn't have any hair to shave with his toupee wearing ass. But why is he in a wrestling Hall of Fame? He has not wrestled. He has had zero impact on the wrestling business. So why are we cool with having him in there? I mean, shit, if you put Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame with all the bullshit that he's done, you got to put China in there. Shit, throw Chris Benoit in that motherfucker as well.
Oh, damn.
Being honest. Okay. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, and follow me for more wrestling content.
All right. I got to get this guy on the show one day. Seriously, I like some of his content. As controversial as it may sound, I got to get him on the show one day. All right, let's go to the first person you mentioned, Michelle McCool.
All right, he said not top 5, not top 10, not top 20. Okay. No, not top 5.
Females. I mean,
yeah. So top 5, no. Top 10,
no.
15 or 20.
15 is a conversation. W20.
Now
I didn't watch her in real time, so I can't really speak on that.
No, she was good, but the thing about it, she wrestled during an era where they were deliberately holding the women wrestlers back, and where they were being told that, they can't. They some of them threw punches better than the guys, and they were told to knock it off. Right.
Right.
So, you have to keep that in mind. I think, put it this way, at least with as far as the ring work, you could put her in this era right now, and she would do fine.
Absolutely.
So I think that's not a. Because, I mean, because there's some women wrestlers that Stacy Keibler. No, Stacy Keibler could not, would not make it today. But yeah, I mean, but Michelle McCool absolutely would. And as far as putting her in the Hall of Fame, I mean,
I mean, I got a problem with it. She ain't headlining. Not like the girls headlining it. You know what I mean?
yeah, and then
I mean, and you got to put bodies in there, man. I mean, we got.
And that's the other thing. I mean, that like as far as putting women in the Hall of, because they I think they want to have a woman inducted every year, right? And right now, I mean, because Beth Phoenix is already in there. The Bellas got inducted already. I mean, there really is. I mean, Trish and Lita are in there already. I mean, well, Mickey James isn't in there yet. So if you're saying, I mean, yeah, I say Mickey James should be in there before her. Yes.
By the way, all girls you mentioned, I probably would take over her on the list. Probably.
Oh, yes. I mean, Trish, Lita, yes. Nikki Bell, yes. And Jazz and Jacqueline are already in there. And I think now that they're, as far as their WWF careers, they may be about even with Michelle McCool.
Yeah.
But they're already in there. Beth Phoenix is in there, and I mean, you can make a big case that Beth Phoenix is that her career, her kayfabe WWF WWE career, is borderline at best. I mean, as far as being a skilled wrestler, she absolutely belongs in there. But I mean, there are a number of women who have more kayfabe accomplishments than Beth Phoenix, and she's in there. So I'm not putting if they put Beth Phoenix in there, then yes, Michelle McCool belongs in there.
Yeah. I see his argument though, but come on now, don't be a buzzkill. All right, Drew Carey.
I mean, they have a celebrity wing. He was. I mean,
I think what I got from him is that based on those last two selections on there, he was nothing to do with celebrity wings at all.
So, all right. Okay. I mean, they shouldn't put every celebrity who's ever taken part of a show in there. No.
What did Drew Carey do again?
I forget. He was in a Royal Rumble. Apparently, that's the guy said so.
Yeah. I you know what? I'm gonna agree with him on that one, on the Drew Carey part.
Yeah, because I think he didn't play a big enough role.
Right. To me, you got to stand out, dude. Like
you got to.
Yeah.
I mean, like Johnny Knoxville worked a whole match. He worked a match at WrestleMania against Sami Zayn, and he was in a Royal Rumble, right?
Right.
That's or Bad Bunny, right? I mean, he worked a couple of matches
and was really good at that too, especially.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So people like that. I think Mr. T is in there, of course, and you have to put him in there for obvious reason.
By the way, I just realized, a black guy headlined the first WrestleMania. It hit me last night.
I mean,
you don't think about that, but
no, you don't. And because I've made that mistake too, because I immediately jumped to The Rock, and it's like,
no, Mr. T, I paid a fool.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, no, that's right.
Another thing I just realized too, also, like 2 nights ago, I think I texted you with this. Kevin Owens headlined 2 WrestleManias in a row.
Yeah.
You don't think about it because of who he faced, but the dude headlined WrestleMania 2 years in a row. All right, the last guy, Donald Trump. Look, say what you want politically, where you at. I don't give a shit where you at politically.
I mean,
you can't tell me he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. The dude not only was in a match in WrestleMania, he also.
He hosted
it twice.
Yeah. So
I disagree on that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if it wasn't for the politics, we wouldn't. Nobody had a problem with it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. So, all right, I want to play one game with you before we get out of here. I just saw today. I want you. That should be fun here. A new game. We're gonna play release one, sign one, and push one. So we have 3 guys per row here. I want your opinion on each of these guys. So this is WWE roster. And you have a choice to release 3 guys. Okay, would you release Logan Paul? Would you release Dominic Mysterio? Or would you release Jey Uso?
Oh man,
and why?
Okay. Okay. So I could release one. I got to release one.
One. Yeah, one. Release one.
All right, Dominic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Logan Paul is a big celebrity attraction, and he brings a lot of attention and all that stuff. So I'll keep him.
To be fair, this is actually the hardest road to do because all three of these guys are doing great work for
Well,
different reasons.
and that's the thing I think. But Jey Uso again, the nickname main event Jey Uso is not just a dopey nickname. It's like it's real.
Yeah, it's real. The push
And
is
he
real.
he is way over, and he sells a whole lot of merchandise and all that kind of stuff.
He's also part of arguably the greatest tag team history of the company. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two is a key component in the greatest storyline history of the company. Okay, he's actually about to win a title probably in a few weeks. Yeah.
This way.
Go ahead.
I think out of the three, I think you could replicate what Dominic does. You could find somebody to do what Dominic does faster than you would find somebody to do what either Jey or Logan Paul does.
The thing is, Dominic is so over the heel. I went Logan Paul on this one only, and I know no one likes him. It's not because I like it. I think Logan Paul's doing some fantastic work in WWE, but I think I think Dominic's heel run here is so authentic to pro wrestling. People don't like Logan Paul because they don't like Logan Paul. Period.
Well, I think for me, Dominic's probably never going to be a main eventer.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Well, but if you're asking me Logan Paul's been in main event. He's been in the main event already, and he's been in big title matches and whatnot. And Jey Uso's been in main events and big title matches. For me personally, I would keep somebody that I can do that with over somebody who, he gets heat and he's great in doing what he does, but I think it's,
right. All right. This one should be called this next row here. It says sign one here, but it really should be re-sign one. Okay.
Yeah.
You have three choices here between Adam Copeland, which is Edge, of course, Jon Moxley, which is obviously Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Lashley, of course, is Bobby Lashley. Which one you re-sign? Which would re-sign, I say?
Well, okay, I wouldn't re-sign Edge. I'm not an Edge hater, but I think they've done all that there's to do with Edge. I mean, I don't think there's anything else really, I just don't think, I don't think there's anything more or anything new to do with him. I think you can do the most with Bobby, I think, as far as, matches and ring work and whatnot. But, I mean, you bring Moxley back and then, you're going to make a ton of money doing the Shield reunion.
You could.
But if I had to bring one back today, probably I'd say Bobby.
I'm right there with you, brother. And I'll tell you for one reason only. You bring back my motherfucking Hurt Business, baby. Bring it back.
Well, I think there's more for me. There are more matches that I would look forward to with him because he never got a proper match against Roman, during the whole run.
No, he did not.
And then there's Bobby versus Braun Breaker, Bobby versus Jey Uso, Bobby versus Gunther.
Yep.
Bobby versus Jacob Fatu. There's a Bobby versus Damian Priest. There's a ton of matches.
And again, there's also the Hurt Business too. So you can also recalibrate again. I will gladly put away the Judgment Day and bring back the Hurt Business. You bring back MVP. You bring back Sheldon Benjamin. You bring back Cedric Alexander and bring that faction back. I'm telling you that thing would have worked with crowds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That group could have been. They might have been already better than Nation Domination.
Yeah,
very possible. Very possible. You know what I mean? So I'm 100% on Bobby without question. Moxley, I consider it though. Like, do you go back to Dean Ambrose? We'll see.
It's just okay with Moxley. There's basically one thing to do with him, and that's to put the Shield back together one more time.
And I don't know why you would do that.
Not now. I mean, you don't do that. No, I mean, like when they're already if they're all ready to retire, like at the same time, then you do it, right? But if he's going to come back and they're all going to be there another 5 or 6 years, then no.
Yeah.
I mean, you save that until they're all ready to go, or until one of them is ready to go, and then you do it one more time. But if it's just bringing him back just to be there, just to have him, no.
Yeah. Well, I regret not watching between 2012 and 2014. I really do. All right. Finally, push one. And your 3 choices here are Chad Gable, Andrade, or Carmelo Hayes. This is actually tougher, you realize, because all 3 of these guys are really good at what they do.
Yeah, they're really good when the bell rings, all 3 of them.
Who has more upside?
I'd probably say Gable because he's proven himself the most with the character work. So, yeah, I'd probably say Gable.
If you had told me that the same dude that was called Shorty G back in 2019 would now be a pretty prominent mid-carder in 2025, I would have called you a liar. The dude is potentially a small, obviously a little smaller in stature, but he's definitely a more like a modern day Kurt Angle in a sense.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He has the character down pretty well. He's in great shape, great in-ring work. But I think the absolute upside of the 3 guys here is Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, I guess I'm baffled by how they've been booking him. And like either they just don't see it, either there's something there they just don't see, or there's something he's maybe missing that we don't realize. I don't know. I think, but just the way they're booking him now, I think it kind of leads to questions right now. So if I had to pick one right now to push, I'd go with Gable.
Yeah, I like the answer, and honestly, I think no matter what any of these 3 guys, there's no bad answer here. Because I think even Andrade, you can do a lot with. You know what I mean?
With him, the talking is the problem with him, and
give him an advocate. Give him an advocate again. He had Zelina Vega at one point.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Shoot, you know what I mean? You have her for a reason. Use her. By the way, they needed to have more advocates and managers back in wrestling. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean that's
so pathetic. They don't have that anymore. It's so sad.
And because now, like we said before about being able to do promos and all that stuff, like having managers, with those big stables and all of that, like basically like Bobby Heenan, right? Like all those guys got heat because of him.
Yep.
And they got it to different degrees. Like Hercules didn't get as much heat as Rick Rude. No, but all of those guys.
Rick Rude's a great character. Rick Rude didn't need Heenan. He only added to the character.
Yeah. But I mean, all of those guys at least got a little something by having somebody who could talk for them and interfere in their matches and that kind of thing. And yeah, I think you definitely need more of them. I think because I think that's missing. That's the thing that's missing. And it just helps so many people. Because like when I first started watching, because in the WWF you had Heenan and Jimmy Hart and Mr. Fuji and Freddie Blassie, and then of course he handed things over to Slick. And then you had Johnny Valiant, right? And then in the NWA you had J.J. Dillon, you had Cornette, you had Paul Jones, and those in between the 3 of them, I mean between the 3 of them they managed probably like almost a dozen people, right? That's like a dozen heels who were getting heat.
Yep.
And then then the Road Warriors had Paul Ellering, and like again and so. Yeah, I mean, it just it makes things easier. It makes booking the show easier because you have somebody who can just enhance. Again, they can talk for people, they can interfere in matches, and do things to make people mad. And it makes things so much easier. It makes it easier to book the show. So I just wonder why they don't have that many now. It just to me it's kind of like I don't know. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Because I mean, booking is supposed to be pretty simple. You get people pissed off at the heels, and then the fans want to see the heels get beat up, and then that makes it's easier to get the baby faces over when people are more pissed off at the heels. And you get people more pissed off at the heels when you have having managers help people get, more pissed off at the heels because that adds to what they're doing, to the bad things that they're doing.
Because the whole point is to shine enough shine on the character, and the manager does that for you.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. And then, I mean, the whole point is, because every baby face. There are only a handful of baby faces that can really just get the crowd behind them on their own.
Right.
Everyone else, you need, the other ones you need basically, you want to, they get over by beating up the heels who have pissed off the audience, right? And, again, there aren't that many heels that piss off the audience like that much. And now, and managers help. Managers make a difference. Managers go about doing that.
Yeah, I'm with you. We do this again on Sunday?
Well, actually, Sunday I will be out of town Sunday. Me and Jason are going to Philadelphia to see AEW Dynasty.
You're going to AEW? That's where you're going Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, because the AEW Dynasty pay-per-view is in Philadelphia on Sunday. That's where we're going to be.
Okay. Should be fun time.
No, I don't know
what. Figure it out.
I don't know what our plans are for Sunday morning because we're both getting there Saturday.
Okay.
So if by some chance we're not doing anything Sunday morning,
you guys feel free to jump on. No big
deal.
deal.
So I'll let you know between now and then what our itinerary is for the weekend.
Yeah. And when you follow Rob on social media, Blue Sky and X, although he's not really an X guy much anymore because Elon's cesspool, but it's Arbon1 on social media, of course. His also the podcast, Mindless Wrestling Podcast, 1/3 of that on the Chair Shot Radio Network. And of course, the Rob the Genius podcast, which is now airing a lot more common now than it used to, which is great. Good to see that again. By the way, love the episode you did with Nick on Sunday. Fantastic. I enjoyed it. I actually listened to it I was packing for Disney on Sunday night, so I really enjoyed that. So excellent job. Hope you have it on again in the show again soon too.
Yeah, I definitely plan on doing it. He wants to come back, and we're gonna, keep it a little more concentrated on maybe a specific subject next time.
Right. But I did like to hear he showed how broad he was in the numbers and stuff. It was really cool to see that though.
Yeah.
I like that. And of course, Earnestly Podcast, False Count Anywhere on Earnestly Podcast, of course, any podcast catcher. First and foremost on the audio side. You can of course subscribe to the channel at Earnspeak Pod on YouTube, Earnestly Pod on TikTok as well too. Also, and until the next one, we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks guys, everybody in the chat and people watching on social media live. We will talk to you in the next one.